So is the Kohler Command Pro 208 a factory race mini bike engine? I mean, why is it so expensive? I mean, I know it's actually built for commercial and industrial equipment usage, but ARC does make a billet kit for this engine. I've seen these things online, I don't know, anywhere from $450 to 800 bucks for one of these. So this engine is rated at 7 horsepower and then 10.5 pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM. Unlike a Predator or Tilly or a lot of other clones, it's rated at 4,000 RPM stock instead of 3,600. So one reason I found that this engine's so expensive is it has a forged steel crankshaft, and I bet it'd be pretty hard to break with a forged steel crankshaft. And then another thing I've noticed with this engine, it has a big exhaust port. And also, if you look underneath this engine, it is well reinforced. So I'm gonna pull this engine partially apart just to kind of see how it's built, and then I'll throw it on a mini bike and we'll see how it runs. So I'll pull the blower housing and airbox off of this, and we'll see if it's similar to a Predator. It's got a nice big air filter on here. So it looks like your airbox is bolted to the blower housing with these Allen screws. Okay. And then you got the bolt up here on the airbox. Yeah, it's kind of cool. This thing has a forged steel crank. I mean, this is a good starting point. So ARC sells a kit for this engine. Has a billet flywheel, billet rod. I think it's a 275 cam. So the carburetor, I mean, looks like Predator stuff. It's a nice looking intake port. So let's see what kind of top secret stuff we have under here. Okay, so I mean, it looks similar to a Predator. I mean, the cup looks a little bit more beefy. Got the plastic fans and the your coil there. It has the glued-on magnets, but it is rated at 4,000 RPM from the factory, which is cool. So if you look under the tank there, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but those fins, this block looks really reinforced. I mean, nice and beefy. And this exhaust port looks big compared to a Predator. So let me pull this exhaust off here. We'll look at this port. It almost looks like you could use a big block exhaust on here, like a 390 or something. I mean, it looks a lot beefier or nicer than a Predator exhaust. Yeah, this thing is heavy. Okay, so the port looks very similar. It's just real wide. The flange. The pipe on the exhaust is a lot bigger than a stock Predator, and the distance between the bolts looks like a big block flange. Yeah, this exhaust is super heavy. If you look at the port, I mean, the port looks similar to a Predator. The port itself, it's just the flange is a lot bigger. Another thing about this port, it comes out at an angle. Like this side here is higher than this side. See what it looks like down in there. Okay. So everything on this engine just looks a lot more beefy than a Predator. I mean, look at all the meat you have between the port and the studs here compared to like a Predator head, which everything's really thin. So I mean, the engine overall is just built really rugged. I guess that explains why it has a forged steel crank. So definitely would make a good base or a good platform for a race engine. It'd be kind of fun to try one of those ARC kits on here. Another thing they were saying on the website, this thing has cast iron cylinder liners. So I'm gonna throw this thing back together and I'll throw this engine on the Rascal-lite mini bike and we'll see what it does. I think I'll throw it on this bike over here. So I think this will be a good frame to test that out on. It has plenty of room under here. So on this Kohler here, the engine overall is just a little bit too tall for this frame. With this gas tank on here, So I'm gonna have to remove the gas tank. But what's cool about it is I already have a unit tank on here, and it already has the shutoff valve and the fuel line. So this thing is pretty much like a Predator. You have the bolt in the back, and then a couple up front, and one back here. Man, look at this thing. It has some beefy, nice thick tank mounts. So I might as well take all this governor stuff off of here. I'm gonna end up removing it all anyway. They got some nice hardware holding all this stuff on. Man, so this stuff is even connected to the blower housing. Man, some heavy brackets. I mean, you take 10 pounds of brackets off of this thing. So I got the gas tank and the governor linkage off of there. So I'm thinking I went this far, so I might as well throw a slide carburetor on this thing. The throttle cable is already set up for a slide carb because I had a slide carb on the 3-horse that was on here. I might as well throw this 24mm Kohler carb on there. And this adapter, as we've already seen, will work on the intake side of it at least. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have to make up an exhaust header, but for the intake, I think I'll use this. I mean, yes, we do have the governor wheels still floating around in there. And it's only what, a $400 to $800 engine. So I mean, if it blows up because of that, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, right? Yeah, that carburetor's huge on there. So it'd be nice getting that off of there. I tried starting it with this carb, and this thing must have been setting for a long time because it only runs with the choke on. Tell you what, this engine's sure put together beefy. They wanted to make sure that nobody took the studs out of here. I mean, I used the nuts on here, and there's no way. So I had to use double vice grips to loosen these up. So I wonder how heavy the valve springs are in this thing. So that went on exactly like a Predator. This will definitely be a unique combo. A Rascal-lite with a Kohler 208 and a Kohler carb. So now I'll see if my throttle cable will work. I might have to lengthen the cable a little bit, we'll see. And I got my kill switch hooked up. Just plug right in, of course. What's cool about the Kohler, it has a round top, but it still has a D-slide. We'll see if it's long enough on here. I'm not sure if that's long enough. I think I'm gonna have to pull that cable out a little bit. So what's cool about the Kohler carb, it has an adjustment on the top, but the only thing is, even with the adjustment all the way in, this cable is still too short. So I'm gonna have to cut a piece off that cable. All right, so I had to pull the cable out and then I cut the end off, but now I have to solder another tip on here. I gotta make sure I get plenty of heat on this. I mean, I could take the MIG welder and just zap a tip on here real quick, but you know, that's too easy. Okay, so I think that'll do it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, the tip fall off in a $400 to $800 engine? Not that big of a deal. I mean, you gotta take chances. So let's see if I have enough cable out of here now. What's cool about it, I still have some adjustment up on top, so in case I need to make it a little bit longer. Let's see if we get full throttle here. That'll work. Okay. So got the fuel line hooked up, throttle hooked up, kill switch hooked up. So now all I have to do is throw a clutch on here. So I have this 3/4 shaft, 13 tooth max torque I can throw on here. I'm not sure what the gear ratio would be. I'd have to figure that out, but we'll test it out and see. So is the crank bolt an M8 by 125 or a 5/16 by 24? Let me find out. So the bolts ended up being 5/16 by 24s on here. And I just happen to have the best chain guard in the world that'll fit right on here. So I might as well use it. Man, look how close that exhaust is on there. So you move that up, you got about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little more. That thing is close, but it'll work for now until I get a header pipe. So the Kohler looks pretty nice on there. I mean, the only thing that really kind of looks out of place is the giant exhaust. But other than that, it looks pretty sweet. So now the moment of truth, will it run with the Koso 26mm carb? I mean, it looks pretty sharp. I got my chain guard on there. And I got the nice big exhaust. So we'll see if she'll fire up. Man, almost fired up the first pull. Second pull. That thing is nice and quiet. So I'm going to go ahead and do a 0 to 30 and top speed run using the Draggy performance meter to get a baseline on this bike. And this thing tops out pretty quick with this gear on here. And man, this thing is quiet. So there was wide open right there. It's got a lot of torque. I mean, it gets there quick, but you can hear it. It just totally tops out. I mean, I don't know what valve springs are in this head. With this gearing, it goes right up to the max RPM really quick. So I think I can put a lot more gear on this. All right, 0 to 30. Kohler engine on the Rascal-lite. I mean, it gets to 30 pretty quick. It's actually pretty quick. So it did 0 to 30 in 5:03 right there, but I really wasn't even trying. Let me go try that again. I mean, it gets there quick. See right there, we're topped out. All right, second attempt, 0 to 30. Kind of had to roll into it. We knocked out 0 to 30 in 4.36. I think I could even better that. I kind of rolled into it. Yeah, this bike's actually pretty quick. See right there, we're topped out. That's pretty much all the RPM this thing will turn. So it did a best time of 4.36, 0 to 30, and almost 34 miles an hour with the gearing that's on it right now. It definitely has a lot of torque, so it definitely can pull a lot more gear, and I need to adjust that carb a little bit. But let me see if I can swap out this clutch from a 13 tooth to a 17 or 18 tooth, and that'll definitely add some top speed, because I think it definitely has the torque to pull the gear. So I have this max torque 17 tooth, so we're gonna go from a 13 tooth to a 17 tooth. So that definitely should add some speed to it. Pull this 13 tooth off here. And that exhaust is super quiet. And this thing's almost like an electric bike cruising around. Might have to add some chain to this, possibly. We'll see. So we're going from a 13 tooth max torque to a 17. They're both max torque clutches. Now I like this 18 tooth or 17 tooth because it has a keyway built in, so I don't have to mess with the keyway on here. Tighten up this chain and we should be good to go. So that was an easy enough swap. I didn't even have to add any chain. So now let me see if I can go beat, what was it, 33 and some change miles per hour and 4.36 0 to 30. One thing about this bike, if you get it too fast, I'm gonna have to upgrade this brake. I got like a 20 mile an hour brake on here. But I mean, who needs to stop anyway? stopping is overrated. Oh yeah, it's got a lot more top speed, you can tell already. So pretty close to 50 right there. 47. I don't know how 0-30 is going to be, but top speed's pretty good. Alright, let me see if I can get the draggy hooked up here. 0-30 with a 17-tooth clutch with the Kohler on the Rascal-lite. I mean, it's not too bad. Seems like I slowed it down a little bit. A 5.88. I mean, so it slowed it down a little bit, but not too bad. Let me see if I can back that up. I think that exhaust is like totally restrictive, even though it does have a big pipe on it. I think it's just totally restrictive. And then maybe valve springs too. Alright, let's see what the best time was so far with the 17-tooth clutch. 5.29 was the best time with the 17-tooth clutch. And then the top speed, definitely a lot better. I mean, it pulls this hill like nothing. Yeah, you can tell this thing's got a lot of torque. I mean, you put an exhaust on this, I bet this thing, and some valve springs, I bet this thing would move. So I think you're pretty much maxed out right there, about 49 miles an hour, almost 50. All right, nothing fell off. Yeah, so it's pretty much maxed out right there. I think valve springs and an exhaust. One cool thing about it, it's nice and quiet. Well, one thing I did notice while riding this bike, this is a very smooth running engine. I mean, you can tell it's really well balanced. So we definitely gained a lot of top speed and lost a little bit from 0 to 30, but I definitely think I can make that back up when I start modifying this engine. So with the 17-tooth clutch, we did a 0 to 35.29 and then 49.41 top speed. So definitely gained a lot of top speed. So I think now this thing could definitely use some valve springs and a header pipe, because it kind of stops or starts floating the valves. You can kind of hear it. You can tell this thing has a lot of torque. So I think the head probably flows pretty good on here. So I'm wondering how that ARC kit would work out with that 275 cam. And you're definitely not going to hurt this thing with a forged steel crank. I mean, I can pretty much do whatever I want.